All right, let's dive right into this explainer and completely unpack the step-by-step cognitive framework you actually need to achieve your biggest goals. Look, we all have ambitions, right? But the gap between just having a goal and actually reaching your destiny, well, that is entirely bridged by your mindset. So today, we're going to deconstruct the exact mental architecture you need to really fall in love with the process and accept the challenge. You gotta fail in order to win. Just pause right there. Really let that sink in for a second. I know it's a deeply counterintuitive truth, but we absolutely need to establish this before we even begin structuring our blueprint. Society kind of conditions us to avoid failure at all costs, doesn't it? But as we break down this mindset today, you'll see that making mistakes isn't the opposite of success. Actually, scratch that. It's an absolute prerequisite. Think about Thomas Edison for a second. He notoriously found 10,000 ways not to create a light bulb before he finally succeeded. That wasn't just him fumbling in the dark. That was literally mandatory data collection for his ultimate victory. So, to make this super actionable, we're organizing this roadmap into 4 distinct logical steps. 1. Defining your vision. 2. Preparing your mind. 3. Embracing the bad breaks. And 4. Building a relentless attitude. All right, kicking things off with step 1, defining your vision. See, everything has to start with absolute clarity. You simply cannot hit a target you haven't drawn. So you've got to ask yourself this really foundational question. What do I really want? Not what your parents want, not what society expects from you, but what do you genuinely want? Having that inquisitive energy, that is the exact spark that ignites this whole process. It's the exact moment you transition from just sort of existing to actively plotting your trajectory. And when you do that, an abstract desire transforms into a literal cognitive chain reaction. Step 1, you actually write it down, which forces you to think. Step 2, that thinking starts to create an image in your head. And step 3, you actively build that vision in your mind. It evolves from just a fleeting thought into a concrete mental reality. You are literally rewiring your brain to recognize the opportunities that align with that specific, detailed image. Because at the end of the day, it's the visionaries that change the world. Establishing and, more importantly, holding on to this mental image is the ultimate secret to gaining a real competitive edge. Think about it. The people who stay on top aren't always the most physically gifted or the luckiest. No way. They're the ones who hold on to their visions so tightly that reality eventually has to bend to match it. So whatever your specific goal is today, keeping that image completely locked in is what will force reality to bend to your will. Moving right along to step 2. Preparing your mind. So you have the map, but now you need the vehicle to actually get there. And what's really fascinating here is the stark contrast between our physical limits and our mental capacity. We spend so much of our time focusing on what goes on from the neck down, right? Our physical bodies, our tangible environment, and all of those have very hard limitations. But the mind, it is completely limitless. Everything starts there. It's the engine that drives you straight through exhaustion, rejection, and doubt. I love this quote. If you're not mentally ready, you're never really physically prepared. Let's pause on that. Preparation has to happen internally over and over again before it ever manifests externally. You literally win the battle in your head before you ever step foot onto the field. Whether you're an athlete stepping onto the court or an entrepreneur launching a brand new startup, if your mind hasn't already rehearsed the victory, your body simply won't know how to execute it when the big moment actually arrives. So, what would your life actually look like as you look toward the future if you decided right here, right now, I am not going to allow my fears to stop me? Whatever you have to do to get past that fear, you just do it. Because I'm warning you, if you don't face those fears head on, life is going to whoop you until you finally surrender. You absolutely have to prepare your mind to stand firm when the pressure hits. Which brings us to step 3, embracing the bad breaks. Once you actually start taking action, things will go wrong. But you've got to remember, the road to success is always under construction. We all kind of expect this perfectly smooth highway straight to our destiny, but the reality, there is never a perfectly clear path. You're going to encounter detours, huge potholes, barricades, the whole shebang. It's built into the journey. So hitting a bump is not a sign that you're going the wrong way. It is simply a sign that you are actually on the road. You are going to face inevitable hurdles. For sure. Getting discouraged, losing your passion for a minute, having people look you dead in the eye and tell you no. And when these things happen, people usually panic. But encountering this stuff is just a normal, required part of the process. When you start thinking it's not meant to be, that is exactly when you must keep pushing. A no isn't a stop sign, guys. It's just a filter that weeds out the uncommitted. Just think about the timeline of your attempts. You try for the first time, you fail by the fifth time, and man, by the 30th time, you desperately just want to give up. But here is the really hard truth. If you give up after the first, fifth, or 30th attempt, it just reveals that you simply didn't want it badly enough. It was a casual interest, not a true obsession. The people who actually make it are the ones who try for the 31st time with the exact same enthusiasm they had on day one. And that perfectly tees up step 4, building a relentless attitude. To survive all that heavy construction on the road to success, you have to revolutionize your attitude. Think about this for a second. To hit the game-winning shot, you've got to miss the game-winning shot first. It's exactly like Michael Jordan missing thousands of crucial shots in his career to ultimately become a complete legend. Making mistakes, especially early on, is exactly what every single successful person did. So don't let early failures eat you up. Those legends just used those misses as fuel instead of an excuse. You've got to remember this phrase. The bad breaks are coming, but they usually come right before the big break. This is exactly how you reframe a streak of terrible luck. Those consecutive failures, they are the ultimate signal that your breakthrough is literally right on the other side of that wall of resistance. The darkest part of the night really is right before the dawn. You just have to hang in there long enough to see the sun come up. So summarizing all of this, we arrive at the relentless mindset. To reach your ultimate destiny, your mind has to be totally made up. You are not moved by how impossible it looks. You're not discouraged by how long it takes. You never take no for an answer. And you never, ever settle for mediocrity. This unbreakable shield is literally your only path forward. Adopting this attitude is the one and only way to keep pursuing what was originally put in your heart. Because the bad breaks are definitely coming. That is a 100% guarantee. So the only question that remains is this. Will you stumble and stay down, or will you choose to get right back up again? Look, you have the vision, your mind is finally prepared, and you know the obstacles are really just stepping stones. Now it's time to take action. Make your choice, build that relentless attitude, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.